All right, well, actually, I lied in my last one. You don't know that because, you've probably only ever seen this one potentially. But this is take number 3 of video number 1. And first couple of prefaces about what to expect in this. So first thing is I'm going to do either no editing or minimal editing, which means that because I don't have a microphone, sorry, you get to hear all the street noise and the sounds of life around me whenever I'm filming. And the second thing about that is that you're gonna basically be getting essentially a stream of conscious kind of spiel here, all right? So if you're not into that, I'm sorry. That sucks for you, but it's my video and I'll do what I want. Anyways, so take number 3 of video number 1. Here we go. I have my little notes out here so I can hopefully give you a little bit more of a clear, concise layout of what I'm hoping to do here. And by you, I mean like me, right? So what is my why? And my why for doing this is the most narcissistic reason is because I want to record myself in posterity in the vain hope of, outliving myself in some way or another, right? Which I think that everybody deals with that particular human impulse in their own particular way. And this happened to be the method by which I chose to try and combat that personally, right? And which goes into my second reasons, my next batch of reasons for wanting to do this is because I feel like there's a lot that I have learned and there's a lot that has been passed down to me from the people that I think are important in my life and that deserves to be passed on again. And part of honoring their memory to me is doing that, right? Is taking these nuggets and these things that I've learned from my grandparents, from my parents, and recording them and passing them down because that's the most tangible way to ensure someone's memory lives forever, right? So all of that, right? And also a lot of it is from I read Arnold's book, Be Useful, earlier last year, and it left a pretty big impression on me, which if you have not read Arnold Schwarzenegger's Be Useful, 10 out of 10 recommend, okay? It's an excellent read, and if you don't feel like physically reading it, you can listen to the audiobook. The man narrates it himself, okay? Brilliant, brilliant book. So, Be Useful, and also in the service of that, there are things that I feel like I can't impact in a meaningful way in my daily life. And my hope is that by recording these things and talking about the things that I think are important, that somehow that will increase the scope of my reach and hopefully impact others the way that I have been in my life. Right? So, what are we going to talk about? Well, what do I know, right? Well, the first things that I fucking know about are, and you'll have to pardon my dropping of particular words every once in a while because I've lived in New York for too long. My Southern Belle card has been revoked due to my dirty mouth, but in my tendency for salaciousness. But anyways, so what do I know? I know a rather lot about the superficial things in life, and a lot of that comes to what I've chosen to do with my career. I'm a fashion designer. I currently live and work in New York City, but I've been in fashion, I've been interested in fashion since at least middle school. I first got a Teen Vogue subscription, one of those like school subscriptions that you sell to like make money, right? And my grandparents got me a subscription to Teen Vogue, drastically changed my life. Irrevocably changed my life, getting that first issue of Teen Vogue. And that was in about middle school. So from middle school onward, I've always had a connection with fashion. And I can remember being in kindergarten and having this realization that how we choose to present ourselves to the world is how the world interacts with us, for better or for worse, right? And I work in one of the most, if not the most, superficial industries that you possibly can, right? Like if you wanted to choose a superficial industry to work in outside of beauty and cosmetics, you really couldn't get more superficial than fashion design, right? But there's an enormous amount of fashion in that superficiality that I think we have disregarded as important in the attempt to remove that, which like you can't, right? There's an enormous part of your lizard brain that just does these things as a survival method, right? And so there's nothing wrong with snap judgments about people. It's just about what's the information you're taking in, and what are you ranking in hierarchically, and what are you choosing to get from it, right? But anyways, we'll get into all of that at another point. But I know a shit ton about the superficial, and so that's like beauty, fashion, all of those things, all of the things that you do externally to influence how people interact with you, right? I know a buttload about that. Superficial queen, okay? So I'm going to be talking about all of those things. Also, again, I'm in fashion, I'm in design. I love art. I love music. I love art and creativity in every single form. There's not a form of it that I am not interested in, right? I love fine art. I love film. I love opera. I love music. I love the dedication that it takes for someone to become truly great at their passions, right? Whether that's a professional athlete, professional bull riding, or the artisanship that goes into creating the things that we use in our daily lives, right? Like carpentry, woodworking, all of these skills and crafts that when you put enough time and effort into them become art, right? I love all of that. So we're going to be talking about a lot of that. I'm a huge film buff. Films, especially old classic films, were an enormous part of my childhood and growing up, and they still are a huge part of my life right now. So we're going to talk about those. We're probably going to have a little Saturday night at the movies section, because shout out the Drifters, and Mr. Know-It-All, right? So a segment where I just talk about things that I think are important and that deserve to be delved into, and the nerdy stuff that I think is interesting. And again, these are my videos, this is my channel. I'll talk about what I want when I want, and you can choose to stay or you can choose to go. But again, those are the things that I want to talk about. These are the things that are important to me, and I will every single time do my utmost to try and express why I think they're important. And again, one of the other, I should say, the single most important thing that I think I want to try and impart to people is number one, which is Nana's number one rule for life, which you should jot this down because it is important and it is meaningful and it is true. Do not trust anybody, all right? Do not trust anybody. And I don't mean that in like a become jaded and a nasty person kind of way, because I think that you can give people the... All right, I don't know why that stopped, but I think that, anyways, I think that you can give someone the benefit of the doubt without compromising that core idea that you don't trust anybody, right? Like, I think there's a way that you can do that, but that's the number one Nana rule, is do not trust anybody. And the second one that kind of ties really nicely into that is that don't take my word for it, right? In the glorious words of LeVar Burton, a la Reading Rainbow, don't take my word for it. You have the world at your fingertips at this point, and don't take anybody's word for it, right? Like, you go out and you get first-hand information. You want primary source information. All right, I don't know what is going on. This has shut off a couple of times now. But anyways, in the great words of LeVar Burton, do not take my word for it. right? Like, go out, get your firsthand information, right? In this day and age, it's so easy to go find live streams of things and to get your information firsthand rather than taking somebody else's word for it. So do that with everything, right? I don't care what it is. Never take somebody's word for it, regardless of whether they're purporting to be in a position of authority or not. It is beholden to you to go out and find that firsthand information and form your own opinions, all right? And of course, you can't go through life and not be influenced by other people, but you can go through life with the mindset that, yes, you may be influenced by other people, but you have the choice of who those people are and whether or not you are going to go out and become as informed as possible about the things that are important to you, okay? So those are kind of the important driving principles behind what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and what I think is important. And this whole thing is just going to be delving even more into those things. Shout out truck drivers. Anyways, so I'm going to be doing a bunch of videos that kind of delve into the different aspects of these things and get really into the weeds on it.